Hi, welcome. This is an introduction to Inventor 2022, Inventor Professional. And the layout is pretty similar to AutoCAD where they have tabs and ribbons, okay? And they have all the commands here. For the first tab is 3D model and it allows you to create 3D model features. Then this allows you to modify the features. Then after that, we'll go into sketches, okay? Where you sketch out what is it that you wish to extrude, right? The first few lessons, we will focus on these two tabs, right? We will work more on that. And then we will sometimes use annotate and inspect, okay? And of course the view, right? The rest of the other tabs, we would not use it that often. Okay. So to start off, yeah, so these are the tabs and the commands are all here on the ribbons. This is the user interface, okay? And this is the view cube. From here, the view cube, they are presenting to you the space in an isometric view, all right, in an isometric view. And over here is your product manager view. Okay, so what happens is that when you clicked on the plus sign, it will review the planes, the default planes and axes that exist. Okay, and this is by default it's shown to you, and the reason why it's grayed out is because it's hidden, right? It's not visible. If you were to click, if you were to do a right click, right, and you click on visibility on the menu, then you will see the plane, makes it visible. But most of the time we keep it invisible. Okay, now to start off, click on the start 2D sketch um, in any 3D modeling software. I would dare say it all starts out with a 2D sketch. You do a 2D sketch and then you extrude to create the solid. Okay, so let's start off with a 2D sketch. Right, click on the sketch, and what happens is that they're actually prompting you. Okay, the prompt is at the bottom left hand corner to select a plane to create a sketch or existing sketch to edit. So you want to create a sketch and they're asking you which plane do you want to start drawing on. Okay, you can choose to draw on this plane, which is the XZ plane. You can choose to draw on the XY plane, and you can choose to draw on the the YZ plane, right? Um, for simplicity's sake, I will choose the XZ plane, okay? And as I build it up, so what happens is that this is the front view. The exact plane is something like the plan view, okay? So when I choose this exact plane, um, the sketch will be presented to me in a two-dimensional format, right? Now, uh, something that Inventor does is that they will rotate it around such that the top view is tilted 90 degrees. So, but typically what I like to do is I like to rotate it upwards so that the top view is upright. Okay, that's what I like to do when I start first. Now, the first thing to start drawing off, of course, I want to introduce you is the line icon. When you click on the line icon, you can start drawing lines. If you want to get out of the command, you press the escape key. When you click on the line icon, you can select left click on any point on the screen and you can start drawing your lines. Okay, um, as compared to AutoCAD, it is very similar. However, there are some subtle differences that you may need to get used to it. Okay, some subtle differences as I move along. Now in AutoCAD, we are preoccupied in defining the distance before we click the next point. But in Inventor, it's a lot more flexible. Okay, so you can actually click at any point first and then later on decide what that length is. Okay, so let me go back to it. Go back to this. Let's say I can choose to start here and I can enter in a distance because it's highlighted now over here at 55.21. Let's say I want a distance of 40 and I press tab, okay, and they will show me that this is the angle that I have. Okay, I can choose to put 135, enter, and they will create an angle, right, and they will automatically dimension the sketch for me. Okay, then I can choose this. I can draw any way I want. And as I move the mouse, right, it will automatically track and presume that you want to draw a horizontal line that closes the loop. Okay, so let's go accordingly. I have that horizontal line, and as I move towards the end of the line, it will automatically snap to the point that they presume that you want to click on. Okay, and it's highlighted with a green dot. You can see the green dot, and if that's the point that you want, then you click, you do a left click, and you will close the whole entire perimeter. Okay, let's call this the perimeter. Once you close the whole entire perimeter, okay, you can extrude to create a solid, so you're fine now. Now you're still in the line command, which means to say I can draw more lines. Okay, right, and I can press escape to come out of the line. And if I don't like what I draw, I can press Ctrl Z to get out. Okay, or I can select them like in AutoCAD and delete them away. Okay, now previously I said that we don't have to be preoccupied with the dimensions, and that's because if you were to click on the dimension icon over here and select any line and drag it out, you can then change the distances to, let's say, 100, then the distance will change. Okay, and I can change this to 150 and the distances will change, right? So that's how lines are drawn. Okay, right? Okay, so you can choose to dimension it this way, but if you want to choose to dimension it such that it is measuring the length of the line, what you do is that you move your mouse closer to the edge, and then you left click again, and then you drag it out. Okay, and then they will measure the length of the line. So this is how we can go about dimensioning and controlling the dimensions of our sketch. Okay, now if this is not okay, so I'm going to delete this now and press escape to get out of the command, and I use the green box, very similar to AutoCAD, delete it. Be careful not to delete this little dot here. This is a point, and this point marks the 0, 0 for the sketch. Okay, if you accidentally delete it, then you can open up a new file and you'll be fine. Okay, now other than drawing lines, you could draw a rectangle, okay, or a square, and then they will tell you over here that this symbol means that it is parallel to this line. This symbol means it's parallel to this line. This symbol means these two lines are perpendicular. This symbol means that this line is a horizontal line. Okay, so I can dimension my square, right? Can dimension my square. And notice something, I'm going to introduce to this concept of constraining. Okay, this whole square, right, even though you've dimensioned the length and the breadth, is considered unconstrained. Means you can still move around with it, right? I can still shift the square around with it. Okay, and this is a unconstrained sketch. Now how do you constrain the sketch? You could add dimension to it to constrain one line segment. Okay, so this is the length, and you can choose to select this to constrain the breadth, right? Can bring my dimension up, and now once it is fully constrained, you will see that the square or the rectangle is black. Once it's black, you cannot shift it around anymore. You try to move it around, it is held in place, right? Now that is one way of constraining. Another way of constraining, right, let me show you. Delete. Another way of constraining is to use the constraint commands over here. Okay, now this is the reason why I like to rotate my top view such that it is standing vertically. Now this is a vertical constraint, so when I click on this vertical constraint, I move my mouse to the line, the top line over here, and as I move closer, they will highlight to me the midpoint of that line. Okay, then I'll select that midpoint of that line, and then I will vertically constrain this to the center. Okay, that's one aspect. Then I will constrain the horizontal, and I'll move my mouse to this line, and I'll find the midpoint. The midpoint is here, so I'll select this point, and I'll select this point here, and then this whole square is constrained. Okay, so that's a lot neater, and and it's one of the preferred ways. This is a preferred way, so that your planes are exactly at the center of your rectangle, and that makes it easier to offset and do future operations. Okay, so make use of this. To As I progress along the other examples, I will show you more constraint commands. Okay, but for now, let's deal with a simple square. All right, and we can change the dimension of a square. Say this one, I want it to be 100. Notice how it will become narrower, and it will narrow itself symmetrically. Okay, and let's say this one I want to do drastically. Okay, let's go down by 50, and you can see the drastic change of how it squishes it, right? Now once the sketch is fully constrained, you can extrude it. Now you can even extrude a sketch if it's not fully constrained. All right, it will allow you to do it. It's just so that in the future, if you were to draw with unconstrained sketches, any future changes in other sketches could affect and cause errors when the part is being rebuilt. Okay, so you click finish here to finish off your sketch, and what will happen is that in the browser tree here, this browser tree, you will see that there is a sketch, and this is the sketch. When you click on the sketch gets highlighted, right? This is a sketch. We should always try and aim to have one sketch at a time, and after that we extrude it, right? And then we go on to the next sketch. Try not to have too many sketches in the browser tree, as that will create some problems. Now once you have this out, you go over to the 3D model, okay, tab. So you switch over from sketch to tab now. You're outside of the sketch mode, okay. Now if you change your mind, if you decide, oh no, I don't want it to be 50, I can edit the sketch. So what I do is I select the sketch, I right click, select the sketch, I right click, and I could click on edit sketch, and it will bring me back to the sketch mode. And let's say I want to change this to 30, make it even narrower. Then I click finish, right? Now this is the point of time where I can click on extrude, and the extrude command recognizes that sketch, the first sketch here, as the sketch that I want to extrude, and it recognizes that within that sketch there is only that one profile that I've drawn, the first profile that I've drawn, and they're going to extrude that. So it has certain level of intelligence, and it wants to extrude it. So this is a preview. It's not done yet. It's just a preview of what your extruded part would look like. Okay, and you can change the distances. That means you can extrude it in the opposite direction, or you can extrude it both ways, so that the XZ plane would be right in the middle. You could do it that way, or you could do it in uneven way, where you can extrude in one distance 10 millimeters and another distance 5 millimeters. Let's just extrude in one direction first, and let's extrude by say 20 millimeters. Okay, and I click OK. Right, so there you are. You have your first solid model. Okay, now once you have this solid model, you can press the shift and the center mouse button, and you can rotate it. Okay, if you scroll your center mouse button, you can zoom in and out. If you hold on to the center mouse button, you could move left and right. Okay, so you can take a look and admire your first 3D model that you have created. Okay, now once that's done already, you realize, it's a little bit too thick. How do I make it thinner? So you move your mouse over here, and you click on right click, and you do an edit feature. When you edit feature, you can then change your dimension to 10 millimeters instead of 20, and you have a thinner slab of block. Now if you realize that, oh, my width is too narrow, I need it to be a little wider, so what you can do is you can click on the plus sign, so that it reviews the sketch, and this sketch creates this extrusion. Then you can right click on the sketch, and you can edit sketch. So you can still edit the sketch even though after it's been used for an extrusion. So you can edit this sketch, and now I realize that, hey, I don't need it to be that long, I need it to be 80 millimeters, and I need this to be a little longer, 50 millimeters. And what it does is that you click finish sketch, it will automatically update itself and update the extruded part. So then your part becomes bigger. Okay, now this is an introduction of the commands that are. Subsequently, the other examples that I go through, right, will teach you more commands and more principles in which 3D models are being selected. This is an introduction. Please play around and be comfortable with this. And at any point of time, if you feel that you have a mistake, you can just close it out and then open a new part, right? That's something that I didn't talk to you about, right? To create a new part, you click on this icon over here, which is new. You can press Ctrl N as well. And it is important, by default, they will usually give you in inches. So you need to click on this arrow here, select metric, and open up a standard mm.ipt file and create. And this will give you a new part, okay? And you can create your sketches from here. All right. Then once you've created a sketch, let's say here, create a sketch, and then you extrude a model, and I've got a cube. Okay, I've got a cube, a simple cube, and I want to save the part. So you click File, Save As, and you'll be saving it as a .ipt file. Okay, so if I were to click on Fig7 Q0 Introduction, well, it will save as that introduction. I'll say part 2, x2. Okay, and what will happen is that I have a file over here. Now if you were to close your files, then how do you retrieve this file? You click on open, and then you click on this file and you click open, and you would have your cube, and you realize that, oh, I need to adjust my cube. So notice I managed to extrude the part even without giving it dimensions, even without fully constraining it. Okay, so it is very flexible in that sense. So I can put here 30 millimeters by 30 millimeters, and then what I want to do is I want to centralize the cube to the 0 axis. So I choose the vertical axis, and then I choose the horizontal axis to centralize everything. Okay, and then I have it fully constrained, and it is 30 by 30 millimeters. I want to edit the thickness, edit feature, and it is going up to be 30 millimeters. Then that's it, right? I have a 30 millimeter by 30 millimeter by 30 millimeter cube. Okay, all right. Now, do you always have to click on a sketch plane? No. Once you've created your first solid, you can actually select faces of your model, and what it will do is that it will create a sketch plane on that particular face. Okay, right? So other than creating, if you were to draw another cube, another square, and let's not dimension this so that it can be a little bit faster, and I finish the sketch, right? I can choose to extrude, and I can choose to extrude a part that comes out this way by 30 millimeters. And when I click OK, you'll realize that I have a second extrusion coming out from this cube here. Okay, and it is one solid part, right? It is one solid part. If I were to decide, oh, this is too long, edit feature, and then I make this smaller, I put 10, and this is a lot shorter. In the event that you feel that, oh, I need to change the dimensions, I edit the sketch. So I click on right click and I edit sketch, and I can add my dimensions. I can make it bigger now, 10, and maybe 15. And I would want to centralize it. Let's say if I want to centralize it, okay, I centralize this to, you need not centralize it always to the midpoint. You can even centralize it to the cube feature. Okay, I can't centralize it now. Yep, over here. Right, then what will happen is that I've got a centralized feature, and now it's come out like that. Now you realize that, oh, I don't want it to be an extrusion, I need it to be a hole instead. So I edit feature, and instead of extrusion I put a cut. So I can cut, right, and I change direction, and it will cut in by 10 millimeters deep. Okay, so it made a cut that's 10 millimeters deep. Now if you want to make a hole that goes all the way through, right, you can enter a very large number here, let's say 100. Then what I'll do is I'll cut all the way through here. Alternatively, what you can do is you can choose this option that says through all, means it will cut through uh, every single part. Whenever there's a solid over there, it will cut through the entire body. Okay, and I click, and what you have is a cube with a rectangle hole. All right, so play around with this, get comfortable with these basic commands before we progress to the questions. Right, see you again. Thanks for listening in.